Welcome here, Rabbit and Red. I'm your host, Vincent Paul. I'm joined with Cole, and absent once again is Rich Style, who said he was going to be joining us. And at least while I have you, Cole, and you're always ready.
Yeah, I'm always ready to go.
Which is very rare for any college student to have any ambition whatsoever, so that's always appreciative.
Yeah, well, I didn't have to work tonight, so it worked out.
Well, you bartend.
Yeah.
I mean...
So I'm up late hours anyways.
Let me ask you a bartender. I saw this. You posted this not too long ago. And do you get a lot of people who don't tip you?
Yeah, all the time.
Jesus! I mean, can you, because I bartended here and there. I never did it more for, like, say, 3 weeks straight, but I would always do it here and there. When somebody stiffs you, they come back, do you a little bit slower with them? A little bit, I'll get to you kind of a thing?
Yeah, like if, we're always just crazy busy on Friday, Saturday nights, so, if someone stiffs me, I remember that, and then, they'll be the last person I serve when I'm making my rounds around the bar,
There's one trick I can well, I don't know how good you are with the owner, but this always works. Say you got a guy who hardly tips. And let's say a draft beer there is $2.50, and this person gets a draft. Instead of $2.50, it's now $3.50 because you're charging them the $2.50, and you just gave yourself $1.
Yeah. Well, we have all the electronic pricing, so everything's already set in the machine, so I can't go in and ring it up.
Oh no, you could just tell them $3.50. You see?
That's true.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It's people like that. I mean, you can't ever, don't stiff the bartender, and also be understanding about it. Because there's some people, I'm sure you get if it's slammed, and there's those who just don't understand it. Or this is more of a college bar?
Yeah, it's all college kids.
That has to. How many times do you get those group of girls who just watch Sex in the City marathon and they want a Swedish Fish or some other shit that Sarah Big Nose Jessica Parker was talking?
Some martini or something. It's like, listen, we're a tap house. You want a martini? Go to Famosa, which is supposed to be this ritzy fancy place that's here in town. It's like, we're a tap house. We have 38 beers on tap. You don't want a beer or a rum and coke, get the fuck out.
So somebody comes in there for, let me test it, what's an old fashioned?
Old fashioned, I just had one last night, but I couldn't tell you what's in it. I know how to make it, though.
Okay. Well, there's some that, how about one of my favorites, I love making them. And when I used to drink, I loved drinking them. Lynchburg lemonade.
Yeah, not a clue what that is.
That's something, I want you to look that up, make it yourself. And, follow it down to a T. Greatest taste and drink. Perfect summertime drink.
Okay.
You'll do some things after a couple Lynchburg lemonades.
I do some things after a few beers, so I can about imagine.
The best part about drinking is it's just the fun you're supposed to have with it. And one thing I could never do drinking, I would drink all the time. Not in an alcoholic way, but I'm talking like a drink every day kind of a thing, one a day, just to unwind. I could never drink or get to the point of having a buzz while watching a horror movie. To me, it's like it disrupts a childhood kind of memory with watching horror movies because I wasn't drinking as a kid.
Yeah.
Watching Jaws or Halloween.
Yeah, it's true.
I couldn't associate the two. But if you're watching, since you drink, you put on a shitty movie, like a horrific movie that you can find now on Netflix because that's all they're really putting out there. It's the worst of the worst to stream.
Yeah, I don't know, the last couple weeks they put up for horror has been bad.
And that's one thing I wanted I was thinking about. Right now I have the really horrible Verizon's cable package, and I'm going through on demand. And I've been a very lifelong DirecTV customer, so I was without on demand. And I go through all the on-demand sections. I'm still in the package where I pretty much have every movie package there is except for HBO.
Sure.
And I look on demand, all these titles are the same ones that are popping up on Netflix streaming.
Really?
Yeah. I don't. Now there's really no point except for a couple great documentaries. I don't need Netflix streaming. I think.
Yeah.
I think it's done.
Except for Hemlock.
Yeah. I got Bates Motel. I can only do one show at a time.
That's fair.
I'm
Except
third.
for Hemlock, you get all the episodes right away.
No, I know, but it's the I'm not like what I used to be. Where years ago, I had everything set. I could tell you, here's what I'm gonna watch on Sundays. I look forward to this on Mondays and Tuesdays, and so on. Now I'm 31. I got too much shit going on. I can only be invested in one show at a time now. It's like I had no other time. Like I'm happy Dexter will be appearing in the summer because Bates Motel will finish up by that point, and there we go. I'm now into another show.
It's true.
And I've been extremely happy with the first 2 episodes of Bates Motel. I mean, so far, if you could do the old, let's go out of 5, rank them out of 5, 5 being the highest, give the first 2 episodes, combine them, I'm going to give a 4.5 out of a appeal level to me. What would you rank it?
I would rank it as a solid 4.
And you have been a big fan of the casting for Norman's mother.
Oh, I haven't.
But, hey, look, I am not a huge fan, okay? It's nothing against her, but I think she's doing phenomenal. I honestly think Vera has been doing a great job. I always have a tough time with her last name, Ferminga. I can never pronounce that correctly.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think I'm happy the more that I see it. I think it's a good cast.
Really? I just can't get over, like, when she does things, there's no emotion. Like, you know.
You gotta, I think that's what they're going for. They want that.
And I pictured, like, watching Psycho, the original, and I think they just absolutely nailed the casting of Norman. That kid is just lights out. Just phenomenal. He just reminds me of exactly what Norman would be as a kid. Just real jittery, just kind of, not really well known about, certain things in life, and just kind of just an oddball of a kid, I think they just nailed that lights out. But the mom, during that whole rape scene, she was just like, oh, this is just whatever. This is just happening. And I'm just like, what? Like, but you're getting raped.
But that is a sociopath.
Yeah, and I always pictured, like, Norman's mom as, like, just batshit insane, like, super controlling, which she is in the show, but not, like, to a point of, like an Ed Gein mom, you know what I mean? Like, and that's how I kind of pictured Norman's mom was like that, like, high-strung, intense, like, and that's just how I pictured it, so I think that's why it's missing with me.
But when you have that, I mean, that's what the direction the writing was going towards, and I think she's playing it as they want it, which, of course, you need. Sometimes they can write it a certain way. An actress or actor will just play it how they feel it, if they have that kind of seniority.
Yeah.
And then I look at Freddie Highmore, who's playing Norman. Does a great American accent, by the way, because he's from London.
Yeah. Yeah, I watched him on Jimmy Fallon.
I remember when I watched Finding Neverland many years ago, he's just this little kid.
Yeah.
And you see pictures now, you go, man, he plays it off really well. And I feel he hit, just like the great Anthony Perkins hit, now this is to me, I feel sympathy for him. And you felt sympathy for Norman back in 1960.
Yeah.
And that's the key. But I thought that was a perfect casting because Freddie Highmore, just like Anthony Perkins, kind of very skinny, unassuming, and that's what you want. That's what Norman Bates is supposed to be.
Yeah.
If they would have casted, let's say, somebody 6'5", 250 pounds, you'd go, come on.
You're not buying it.
And both men, they have that nice charm about them, and they're handsome. And just like with how can I look back to American Psycho? Christian Bale nails that because there's a good-looking guy.
Yeah.
Good-looking people can't be insane, and it's a perception. If you go back to it was the late 40s or early 50s with Ed Gein. If you see his picture, you say, well, I could definitely see that guy doing all the horrific events he did, killing all those people.
Yeah, I mean, just creepy looking.
Exactly. You look at somebody, and that goes back to just writing Psycho based off of Ed Gein, and how they just, and then Alfred Hitchcock, his vision for what Norman was. That's where I love the casting. And of course, I think when we go back to with the casting for Norma Bates, I'm glad they didn't go the opposite way where they could have had somebody who wasn't very attractive, kind of portly.
Yeah.
And
see, I always kind of pictured Norman's mom as a good-looking girl, you know, because I mean, that's how much is he's in love with her, you know, like it just kind of fits.
And that's the other thing, when a lot of us who are just huge fans and we respect Psycho, we kind of know what's going to happen, but I find myself watching this now forgetting the great classic from 1960.
Yeah, like I'm kind of pulling for like Norman to be a normal kid, even though we all know the end result. That's obviously not what happens, but.
And that comes from not only good writing, good directing, great storytelling.
Yeah.
That comes from the acting when you're going to get lost.
Yeah.
And this is something that, think about this. 1998's Psycho, which, by the way, did not make it out of the first round of Horror 64, which we'll get more into later. Think about how that failed, because it failed because you were just trying to do a shot for shot. We know the story. And then Bates Motel back in 1987 when they had Lori Petty in there. I can't remember all the other cast. And I watched that. I was really young. I was 6 years old. It didn't work on a lot of levels. But this Bates Motel, for whatever reason, maybe because I feel this is why it's working. I want to get your thoughts on this, Cole. I feel Bates Motel is working now because us as viewers, we've been used to our American Horror Story, our Dexter, then you have Walking Dead. So here comes Bates Motel. And now we're zoning this in as, yes, we get the great classic from 1960, but this is a TV series. We're not going to hold this to the standards of the 1960 version. Do you think that's how I view it? Do you think that's why this is being more universally accepted than, say, 1987 Bates Motel, which was just panned right from the start? And, of course, remaking of 1998. Do you feel that's the big factor?
Yeah, it's definitely more tolerated now in a TV setting series. You know what I mean? Because exactly of that. You know, you have The Walking Dead that's successful. You have American Horror Story that's successful. And just kind of paved the way. People are just like, okay, I can get behind a horror TV show now. And, you know, because I feel like if it wasn't for those type of series, like, it probably wouldn't be doing as well as it is right now. It just wouldn't be able to grab people's interest.
And that's the best part about this, that I wanted this to succeed, and they're having all these different lead-ins, and not so much for I'm not talking about the A&E Network's lead-ins, but the lead-in of A Walking Dead. And man, I understand why they wouldn't do it, but there was so much part of me that I say, you know what, put it up against Walking Dead.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's a huge risk, and let's face it, and this is where I'm only 31, but I show my age. I sound like an old man, because it doesn't matter anymore, because there's DVRs.
Yeah, it's true, though. I mean, people are still going to watch it, you know. But
exactly.
They don't take into consideration when they do ratings of DVRs. Could you imagine, like, if they did?
Actually, they have. They started.
Yeah.
Nielsen has started doing that. I've always been a huge fan. Because I like statistics. That's
Yeah.
just the. And ladies, hold on to your panties. I love statistics. Back in the late '90s, the Philadelphia Inquirer used to put them out. I think every Sunday, the Nielsen ratings, and I would, or Thursdays or Sundays, and I would just be excited to see what Seinfeld was doing or what The Simpsons did. I mean, weird stuff like that I love. But yeah, today's society, we're more instant. We want it now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey,
Impatient guy you'll ever meet.
Well, you're younger. You grew up with cell phones. You grew up with the internet.
Yeah.
You know, I had to masturbate, Cole, to a 56K dial-up connection. Okay, I had to save. I didn't have a quick jerk. Okay, there was no such thing as a 2-minute jerk. It was a 3-hour jerk.
It was a process.
Oh, I had to save pictures onto a floppy disk.
Yeah.
And it was a big to-do. I mean, I would have to start on a day off or when I was quote-unquote sick from school and I wanted to masturbate online. I'd have to start at 9. Hopefully I was be done at 4 before my parents got home.
Yeah, and that's cleanup time.
Oh, and half the time, you had to do it to a half a titty because it wouldn't load.
Yeah, you're only loading half a page about every 4 hours.
And of course, if you do that when people are in the house and one of them picks up the phone, you're done. It's over.
Yep.
Mom, I'm trying to do research on Tyrannosaurus Rex.
I remember dial-up. I was just old enough to have dial-up internet.
That was the whole culture itself. There wasn't the chat. Well, there was chat rooms, but it wasn't the same. If you wanted to go on a posting or you had to. It wasn't as instant.
Yeah,
we were just adapting to it. But seeing that more, and I'm all fine with the interactive age. I mean, we live in it. I live in it. Cole, I sent you a picture of what I did to my office. I have 3 computers now running at one point.
Yeah.
Right now, when I'm doing the show, I have now the touch screen running the show on now, and then I have my 24-inch monitor going over for what I need for the show and statistic-wise. And then if I need it, I can pull out my laptop.
Yep.
My ultra-portable laptop. So I need it now. Or I got my cell phone, which is not an iPhone, because iPhone is just overrated. You're paying for a horrific device that hardly does most of the things that other phones could do. iPhone boy.
Yeah, I love my iPhone. I don't know.
Yeah, I know you do, but I love Brittany Wilson from Bates Motel, who, by the way, just turned 22 2 days ago.
22?
Yeah, she looks phenomenal. But here's the best part:
Is she what character is she?
Well, besides the very pretty one, she's Lisa.
Oh, okay.
And I don't like when you go on I go on IMDb, and go over look at the message boards, and then when you go on Bates Motel, and I saw this the other day, her character's name's Lisa, which I remember because that's what they call her on the show, but they spell it with 2 S's, so it's like she's different.
Yeah.
So she's supposed to be a bitch. You got an odd name. You have to be the bitch. You're the popular girl. You're special. It's like Jenna with a G. It's like my parents were creative. We thought we would have Richard Stile on, who said he would be on.
He did say that.
And Rich has told me that the weekend roundup, which will be having a new name, they will be coming back in the summer. So he's quote unquote going to order more, like he can tell me what to do. I think he was upset because they were getting more hits than he takes. I mean, than his one about the latest action figures. That were, Vince, you don't know. I can't. My voice has been messed up, by the way. I can't do the Rich impression anymore. It's a very Pittsburgh accent. I just don't have it. and I'm only 6 hours away from Pittsburgh. Yet when I talk, I'm very coherent.
Yeah,
So
a lot of Pittsburgh people are just drunk all the time.
I would be too with the rotation they're going to march out this spring with the Pirates.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's Pittsburgh. I mean, they get excited for fireworks and shit like that. It's like I never get the fireworks shit. I don't. That's not white trashy, I guess. Oh, they love it. I wanted Rich to come on because I wanted to really mess with him because a couple months back he was really excited. I don't tape phone call conversations because it's not right. But man, I wish I could have recorded this conversation. He was so ecstatic. We talked, and he said, "Oh, I'm going to see Heart. They're playing." I was like, "Wait, you're getting excited to see Heart?"
Oh, absolutely. Who wouldn't be excited to see Heart?
The way he said it, I'm like, I mean, Heart's good, but calm it down. If we're talking like Steve Winwood's getting back with Traffic, okay, I'm there because I was many years ago. I'm a huge Steve Winwood fan. But Hart, come on. Next you're going to get all excited for the BB Mac reunion?
You never know.
BB Mac was a very unpopular band from Britain that crossed over here to the States in 2003.
I remember BB Mac.
Yeah,
they have their song stuck in my head, but I don't know. I can't remember what it's called.
It was probably the really horrific one about a woman and how they wanted her back.
Yeah, that sounds right.
That was about all of them.
Yeah, I think that was every boy band.
Hey, when we get back on the other side, I want to go over Horror 64 Bandits, the results, which, by the way, when this started off back in 2011, even on what a popular site Horror Bid was, and look, Devil's Eyes, we don't get the traffic that Horror Bid does. But the voting, however, biggest voting turnout ever.
Yeah, it's just getting smashed.
When I remember, I'll be confidential here with Horror Bid. It was about averaging 25 or 27 participants. We cracked. Now some of these brackets were getting maybe only 27 to 30, which is, by the way, I'm appreciative for. But then certain matchups, see, some people, I think if they don't really care, they go, I'm not going to vote. But then, oh my God, the Halloween Black Christmas. Almost 120 people voted on it.
Yeah. And a single one for Black Christmas, right?
Yeah, and that was the sad part. I mean, look, Black Christmas is a great film. And like I said in the article, I'm not going to say, hey, Black Christmas is better than Halloween, but there's not one person that goes, you know what, if I had to choose, I'm going to go Black Christmas over 1978's Halloween. That's all. I mean, but not one. I mean, even the other one got shut out too was really not some. I don't know. I'm a fan of the Hitcher. Hitcher got shut out by Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
But the Blob, 1955's the Blob. Yeah, 55 or 50, 55.
Yeah, 55. I'm a huge fan of that. I voted for the Blob.
But when the Blob on the original side had to go up against Psycho, the Blob, it was a 78% victory on Psycho. So there was votes for the Blob. Some people actually said, you know what, I like the Blob over Psycho. But not the. So that's why I got more, not outraged, but kind of stupefied going. Not one person wants Black Christmas.
I voted for the Blob over Psycho, so I was one of those people.
And I will also be very exclusive on this one. I could easily lie and say, oh, well, I know that film got shut out, but I wanted to advance it. I had a tiebreaker this year. When the voting stops, I'm not going to make the decision. I'm going to flip the coin. And what I did on the list, I used to do it by the number system. If the 8th seed outranked the 9th seed, the 8th seed advances. I'll be very discreet. Texas Chainsaw Massacre versus Friday the 13th, it was tied. All I did was Texas Chainsaw Massacre is going to get heads, Friday the 13th is going to get tails. I flipped the coin, let it hit the ground. It won tails. Friday the 13th advanced on a coin flip because the matchup was tied up.
That's pretty good, because I think I voted Texas Chainsaw on that, for sure.
And I, as much as I wanted to, I didn't want to be the deciding vote. I don't. This time, I don't participate. All I'm going to do, I'll flip the coin. And I thought of maybe do I ask the question on Facebook, the first person to respond without knowing what they're going to do? But I said, you know what? I'm going to flip the coin. It's the only fair thing I could do if they're tied up.
Yeah.
So all these Texas Chainsaw
by fate.
Exactly. There was no other way.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to do the number system again because that's kind of unfair. There's no upset there. But we get back. I want to go over there were some really big upsets, and I'm also proud of myself. This time around, I'm actually keeping up with the brackets on the same time as the NCAA tournament is happening. So almost simultaneously as the Sweet 16 takes off, so does the rest of the brackets. But all that, much more, and Cole will go over, and I will too, with the latest Evil Dead clip for the remake that's going to be coming out next Friday. Stay tuned right here. You're listening to Rabbit and Red.
You know what Ed Gein said about women?
What did Ed say?
He said, when I see a pretty girl walking down the street, I think two things. One part of me wants to take her out, talk to her, be real nice and sweet and treat her right.
And what the other part of him think?
What her head would look like on a stick. I like to dissect girls. Did you know I'm utterly insane? Really impressive. Now the martini, Paul. I know my behavior can be erratic sometimes.
Stupid bitchy!
What are you so fucking zany about?
I'm just a happy camper, rocking and rolling.
If you don't shut your fucking mouth, I will kill you.
No, I'm in touch with you, man. Hey, Paul!
Just have to kill a lot of people!
So what do you do?
I'm into, murders and executions mostly.
Do you like it?
Well, it depends. Why?
Welcome back here, Rabbit and Red. And before the break, we're going over just a little bit of Horror 64. Man, it's the remake version. And, Cole, I'm looking at this, and you have it pulled up too.
Yeah.
And this is the one fear. And I put, at first I was trying to, give you any blame if there's any heat for it, but you did a nice job of ranking the originals where I took the I don't know, it wasn't a lazy move by me, my approach for the remake side, but I just let people pick it without them knowing what they were picking.
Yeah.
Matching up.
I remember you doing that.
Which is always nice to see Halloween face off Friday the 13th on the remake right away.
Yeah, like two big. But I mean, let's be honest, Friday the 13th was terrible.
Exactly. I mean, it's name recognition.
Yeah.
But it was nice to see, however, Texas Chainsaw Massacre on the remake side in the first round going up against My Bloody Valentine. My Bloody Valentine, it's good, but Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it was a solid remake.
Yeah, I'm a little upset. I must have missed the voting on the remakes because I'm a little upset Texas Chainsaw got beat out by The Thing.
I want to explain that one. That wasn't a coin flip either. That was Texas Chainsaw Massacre. When it went up against John Carpenter's The Thing for the remake, Texas Chainsaw Massacre lost by one vote.
That could have been my vote to send it into a coin flip.
But, I mean, both are... And what I would do, if ahead of time, every 4 hours I checked the voting. The start of it, Texas Chainsaw Massacre was running away. And then The Thing just caught up and never looked back. And that's what I've also learned with this, is sometimes, I'll lay it out there now. if I see a matchup kind of being tight or something's not favored, and I think this played a role, I think I want to give myself a little bit of a boost here, Cole. I think I played a role in A Nightmare on Elm Street being defeated by the really shitty Hitcher remake.
Yeah, what? Well, I mean, not really. I mean, A Nightmare on Elm Street was worse than Friday the 13th remake.
But it's not as bad. And look, I don't like Nightmare on Elm Street remake, but it's not as bad as the Hitcher remake. But when I said, hey, there's no way in hell A Nightmare on Elm Street's going to the Sweet 16, well, people must have listened because they...
That's true. That's true.
So I try not to... Sometimes if I'm really passionate, I go, let me see if I can influence this. I thought one of the... on the remake side with the 32, when it was down to 32... I was happy to see in a somewhat tight race. It wasn't as tight as I thought it would be. Piranha versus The Blob, which The Blob I think is that easily top 5 greatest remakes ever made for horror.
Absolutely.
And it's very forgotten still. But I saw I was really curious to see maybe people might vote for Piranha because they might have never seen The Blob but I was happy to see The Blob win because I wanted my dream matchup and it got to the Sweet 16.
The Blob, The Fly.
Oh my god, 2 solid remakes. I'm predicting The Fly is going to take it. I like The Fly. Jeff Goldblum's amazing in that.
Yeah, he's phenomenal. But I'm a Blob guy.
I got The Blob's fantastic. I think, and that's where the debate comes in, and this is where we try to, settle at least, or let's see where the horror fans rank them, and that's what I like about the Horror 64 madness. Let's see if The Blob ever went up against The Fly, who would win. Now we're going to see this, and this is going to take place Friday. The other one, this really shocked me. I wasn't a fan of Silent Night's remake.
No, I wasn't either. I was just looking at that because I was like, are you kidding me? Black Christmas remake didn't beat out the Silent Night remake.
Exactly.
There must be some fans out there.
Look, I'm not a Black Christmas remake fan either.
I didn't think it was too bad.
It's not, but I think it's better than Silent Night.
Yeah, absolutely. That was piece of shit.
I think we're the only two because the fans voted heavily for Silent Night, and this is where I attribute this easily to sometimes when you get some of these matchups and a lot of people voting, and again I can't stress enough how appreciative I am people are participating. It really means a lot. But when you get in this kind of you're on your laptop and you see these two matchups, automatically they might think, I just got done seeing Silent Night. I can't remember too much about Black Christmas. I'm going to go Silent Night.
That's true.
That could play a factor.
Yeah.
I think if I'm going to...
And I think that's how Piranha beat Psycho in the remake side in the first round. I hated Piranha.
No, but not only that. I mean, Psycho remake was horrible.
I would rather watch that than Piranha, though. I know Michael J. right now is crying.
Look, I actually like the Piranha remake.
Really?
I texted this to Mike, which, by the way, he's going to be in. We have a short news segment, but I have some Michael J. news. Some good news.
We getting a Camp Out Nightmare update?
No, it's not. It's not anything like that.
Oh, okay.
I think somehow I'm attached to the to his film still. You're gonna play the lead, Mike. I can't. I don't want to play the lead. I have nobody else. Just play the lead. You're perfect. But I do have some Michael J. news coming up later. I texted this to Mike and I said, "Hey, Mike, you know what? Piranha wasn't bad. And not because it was nice to see the very sexy, talented Gianna Michaels showing her great breast in the parasailing scene, but I loved it, and yes, I did love it for what it was. It's a fun, forget your problems movie. That's all it is, and maybe I still have a crush on Elizabeth Shue from the Karate Kid days. But it still looks fantastic, I think. I don't see how Piranha wouldn't beat the Psycho remake. And that's what's the beautiful part about this. The only time Psycho will lose to Piranha is in a remake battle.
Yeah.
And of course, Psycho against Piranha on the original side, it did not fare too well. Psycho destroyed Piranha.
Yeah, I can't imagine. Besides Michael J, probably picking Piranha.
No, Mike's smart enough. He wants Psycho when it comes to the original. He knows better. Actually, I know Mike's more of a fan of Piranha 3D than he is Piranha the original.
Yeah, that's true.
I want to do this for the remake and original. Let's give our predictions. Let's start off with, who do you have advancing? Let's go. I'm going to go to the original side first, then the remake, because there's one really tough one for the remake. I feel. But let's start off from the top of the bracket. Halloween going up against Friday the 13th for the originals. Where do you go? Who do you think advances on this one?
I think Halloween advances in a landslide. I mean, maybe not a landslide. It might be semi-tight, but I still think Halloween takes it with a decent lead.
I'm with you on that. I have Halloween advancing. Then, this one, it gets a little bit, I'm not going to lie. It's going to get destroyed. Nightmare on Elm Street goes up against a favorite of mine, Fright Night.
Yeah, I think a Nightmare on Elm Street will smash it, but I mean, because that's what I'm gonna vote for. You know, like if I was voting as just an average listener or whatever.
And I think Fright Night, it's a great fun film from the 80s, but Nightmare on Elm Street, it's just too many great memories. When it still holds up.
It's the big four, like big three, whatever.
Well, Halloween, and that's why it's going to be interesting to see. I want to see Halloween advance. I know it's going to advance, just like I know a Nightmare on Elm Street is going to advance.
Yeah.
And like I stated, it wasn't a conspiracy. This is a thing for fun. But back in 2011, whether Justin forgot to or he just kept it going, I remember seeing the voting because I was able to see the voting. And I told Justin on a Tuesday, stops at 8 p.m. on Tuesday. He kept it going until Wednesday. He stopped at just the right time when Halloween finally caught up and beat A Nightmare on Elm Street by one vote for the first ever remake, for the first ever Horror 64.
Yeah, I remember that.
So it was crowned Halloween, but technically Nightmare on Elm Street beat out Halloween on the first ever Horror 64 madness.
We'll see if we'll see if Halloween makes it to the Elite Eight. Final Four.
Now that one would go to the Elite Eight. The winner of that goes on to the Elite Eight. And then the next one, for the original side, Psycho versus Night of the Living Dead. I go Psycho hands down.
You think so? I don't know.
I think it's a tough matchup.
It is. It's a really tough matchup because I'm doing the thing you always talked about. Like if I was to sit down and watch a film, which one am I going to choose? And I think I might go Night of the Living Dead. Don't get me wrong, I love Psycho, but I don't know.
And that's the best way to do it. When you're going to vote for this, think of that. You have one choice to watch a movie for the next 2 hours. You got one choice. So Psycho or Night of the Living Dead. And Psycho for me. I go Psycho, you go Night of the Living Dead. The next one, we have John Carpenter's The Fog. Goes up against a very surprising one to me for the originals. Dawn of the Dead beat out Dracula. Which Dracula's a classic. We're always going to go, But The Fog, I feel, kills Dawn of the Dead.
I can't agree with that.
I'm going.
I hate The Fog, remake and original. Never was a fan.
There nothing about that setting from The Fog and that great music.
No, I don't know. Anything with a fog and a mist, I'm just not buying it.
Could we see, if it happens, so you're going to have the Night of the Living Dead advancing.
against maybe perhaps Dawn of the Dead.
See, and that would be a great matchup because the Fog versus Psycho is not a real sexy matchup to me, not as much as Night of the Living Dead versus Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a sexy matchup.
I mean, I think Psycho's gonna win against Night of the Living Dead, but that would be a great matchup, though.
That would, and we got to see if it's going to happen. And we go over to the remake side, and of course, The Blob versus The Fly. I can't. If I pick, I'm going to try not to pick with my heart because I'm not going to be voting. I think The Fly beats out The Blob. I really do.
So?
I do. I think.
I see it happening, but I'm going Blob. I'm gonna go because I feel like The Blob's an upset if he beats The Fly.
Oh, it definitely is.
Yeah, so I'm going for the upset on that one.
Well, how about this one? I mean,
how these two are even here is beyond me.
You see the next one, but Silent Night versus The Hitcher.
Yeah, this is just a terrible run.
If nobody votes for this, I'll understand. Look, if nobody votes, they forfeit.
Yeah, I mean, The Fly or The Blob just gets an automatic ride to the Final Four.
It's like think back to the late '90s with the King of the Ring for WWE. Like, oh, he got an injury, so the next wrestler, skips around.
Yeah,
they make up for TV time. But the Silent Night, I don't know. I'll go with it. I'll go with Silent Night. I mean, The Hitcher is shitty.
Yeah, they're both shit. But yeah, I guess you got the Silent Night on that.
Well, this just shows you what a lot of horror fans think of remakes. When these two advance, they go, I don't know, look, it was up against A Nightmare on Elm Street. That movie blows.
Yeah. Well, Silent Night even beat out the Wolfman way back in the preliminary rounds.
That was a little shocking because Wolfman wasn't a great remake, but it was watchable.
Yeah, it wasn't terrible. I mean,
actually, I think if you combine the budgets of both Silent Night and The Hitcher, it doesn't even come close to the budget
on the Wolfman. Yeah, not even close.
So yeah, I think we both have Silent Night advancing, and hopefully it'll. Here's the good news: Silent Night or Hitcher is not making it to the Final Four.
No, thank God.
I mean, if it does, my Dago side will come out and I will corrupt this thing. Don't make me do it, people. I will not sit here and be made a mockery to see the Hitcher go against, like, a Psycho.
Yeah, no kidding.
Just defeat the purpose. This one, I'm kind of a little bit mystified at first. See, The Hills Have Eyes, which, by the way, Hills Have Eyes, not a bad remake.
No, I thought it was great.
I just didn't expect it to make it this far. But when I look at it now, when you really look at it and see it,
it really wasn't going up against a lot to where it is right now.
Yeah, this was the luck of the draw because The Ring. Yeah. Look, I'll use another wrestling terminology. Think back to the days of those old enough to remember. Remember when you were a little kid, you watched WWF Challenge. They'd have a what they call a currently in the ring guy, who's the enhancement guy. Yeah, and he'd get destroyed by the Ultimate Warrior. That's what The Ring was. That's what One Missed Call was. And really, there weren't a lot of other remakes out there. And I knew there was significance with The Ring. I was going more because the Japanese versions were. I'm a fan of them.
Yeah.
It's like, I gotta, take the good with the bad. But Hills Have Eyes going up against Night of the Living Dead from 1990.
That's a good matchup.
I think if I can, I'm trying. Here's how I predict this. This is how I go by. I go by the fan psychology. I think people may not like Night of the Living Dead's remake, but they love Tony Todd.
Yeah.
I go Hills Have Eyes remake over Night of the Living Dead from 1990.
That's what I have too.
And now for the toughest one. I think this is tough. What could be considered the greatest remake in horror? Well, it could be considered. John Carpenter's The Thing goes up against the ironic Rob Zombie's Halloween, which I think right there is a nice little story.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have John Carpenter, who's remaking, goes up against his remake
Of Halloween.
I go Thing crushes Halloween. Crushes Rob Zombie's Halloween.
Yeah. I don't know, though. I mean, if it was me, I'm going Halloween.
I like Rob Zombie's Halloween. I like it. I don't hate it. I like it. But man, The Thing. I thought it was perfect.
Yeah, it's a great film. But I'm a Halloween nut. I don't care if you're giving me a Halloween movie in one hand, it could even be Halloween 6 or Halloween Resurrection, and I'm going up against John Carpenter's Thing. I'm probably going to watch a Michael Myers film.
What about this? Name me. Okay, let's go back to Rob Zombie's Halloween. What's the most memorable scene that you could pick from in Rob Zombie's Halloween?
Most memorable scene?
Yep. It's pretty hard, isn't it?
It's not. It's hard, but it's not because there's a lot of them I enjoy. Probably my favorite is when he is just sitting there and all the masks in his room are right there, and he's got the orange one on before he escapes. That scene, the way it's shot with the greens and the colors, and just like how all the masks are just sitting on the wall, and he's sitting there like making another one. You know, like that. That's probably my favorite standout scene.
I have a scene from The Thing that not only does it stand out, it is one of the most suspenseful horror scenes of all time. I mean, you can go to any legitimate horror editor and tell them, "Hey, what'd you think of the scene from The Thing where where all the men had to gather around?"
And they were doing the blood test?
Exactly.
Yeah.
See, that's the other thing to think about, is if you had to do a presentation to somebody who never saw a horror film, and you take, say, like the original Halloween or the original Psycho, you got to pick out one scene, one clip, and show that person. You're going to sell them why horror is so great to watch. And if I had to do that with The Thing, that's the scene I do. I could win so many people over with that.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
With Halloween, the remake, it's a good film, good remake. It's a good remake. I'm not going to pounce on it and trash it. Those days are gone. I got over that after a couple weeks and said, hey, you know what, because I kept watching it over and over and over again. But there's just not that wow factor to me of what really makes it stand out versus the others.
Sure.
But, I mean, hey, you have Halloween advancing, I have The Thing advancing, and I think The Thing, I would love for a Final Four. And I'm not predicting this, but I think if I could make it, I'll have a guess. Not a prediction, but just a guess. I see The Thing, and then I still want to say The Blob, but I see The Thing, and I see The Fly in the Final Four, and then I see Halloween and Dawn of the Dead.
Really? You see Dawn of the Dead over Psycho?
I have an odd feeling if it gets there. Like I said, that's just a guess. Once I get to next week, I will. We have this. We will be at the Final Four next week.
Yeah,
it will be Final Four time, and then all the championship. I didn't even make a prediction this year. Because I just want to enjoy it. I want to see these. I want to see what happens. But it's going to be interesting. I think what we have to do next year is, if we were at a different server site and we could do this, I want to do a prediction thing. Have people fill out a bracket. And there has to be a prize. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I think that's the goal for next year. Have people feel, and that's where the addiction comes in. Just like people are addicted to March Madness, I'm not one of them. As much as I love sports, you know that, Cole. March Madness comes around, I go, it's okay.
I'm a fan of it. I mean, I got to root for my Hawkeyes too in the NIT, so I got multiple brackets going.
NIT, nobody's watching.
Hey, it's like the first time in 6 years Iowa's been to a postseason, so we're really happy here in Hawkeye Nation.
It's Iowa. There's really not too much to be excited about.
Unless you're just doing a ton of meth.
Well, they do have their dairy products too, which we're very known for.
Iowa pork farmers.
But I mean, the NIT in basketball is the equivalent of being excited for I don't know, a Dracula morphing into like a Dracula meeting Smiley. Like if they were going to do some hybrid of that, it's like nobody really cares. That just sounds odd. That's what it's just not the big. It's lackluster, unfortunately. Hey, I know you loved it. I gotta see it. Now I could just lie here and make a falsified or go off what you say, but I have not seen the new Evil Dead clip, and you have.
Yeah, I watched it today.
And this was from was it from the Phenomenal site, which I still think is the #1 horror site out there? Was it Shock to Your Drop?
It was. And I also think that's the #1 website out there. It's great.
Well,
great website.
You have one of the, I think right now the best interviewer there is in horror on there, who pretty much runs the whole site.
Yeah.
Shock to Your Drop. What's the difference with Shock to Your Drop? Is it's not a dirt sheet, and Devil's Eyes isn't a dirt sheet. Devil's Eyes, I want to create more, original articles, and more original.
Not the copy and paste type.
Exactly, and that's what other sites tend to do. And hey, if sometimes you got to report other news that other people are doing, make it your own. Source the originator. That's all. But
absolutely,
I'm one of the. I never shy away from it. If somebody does a great job, say, hey, they're doing a great job. But what did you think of the Evil Dead clip? Is this something? Are you now more anticipating seeing this next Friday?
Yes and no. It's actually the scene that I was more excited to see in its entirety within the film. Like, I remember seeing it like in the trailer and then be like, oh, I can't really, I can't wait to see that scene. And then they showed it, like just a minute 30 of that scene. And I don't want to spoiler anything for it, but it's the scene of where she's like ripping out her face with like a glass or something like that.
Yeah,
cutting her face. Yeah, and it's like that whole minute and 30 scene. I was like, well, I was really excited to see that in the movie, and now I don't know. I wish I wouldn't have done it. Is basically what I'm saying.
I have a prediction here. I'm probably going to be way off on this, but you know me, I'm a historian. I love history, all types of history. What history tells me, when a film such as The Evil Dead, who comes out of the gate, gets that hard NC-17 rating that has to cut it to make it an R, what you will happen, here's a prediction, what you see in these trailers, 80% of it won't even be in the film. I could guarantee that.
I could see that.
And a lot of times people get so upset over it.
Yeah.
One of the things it brings me, I remember a couple years ago when Horrible Paranormal Activity 2, people complained because the awful scenes that you saw in the trailer weren't in the movie.
Yeah.
The movie shit.
Yeah. I don't think those scenes would have helped the movie anyways.
Oh, we didn't get to see the dog in the bathroom. Well, shut up, you dumbass.
Yeah.
How do you watch that shit? Rich's not here for it, but Mike and I used to do this, and I love doing this. I think now it's proper time, but let me get the facts before we start this. I want to make sure I got everything down for this, and what I want to do is the prediction time. The prediction is the over-under for what Evil Dead will do next week, grossing-wise. But what I have to do is find out. Here we go. I have it right now. I always use Box Office Mojo for this. We have 5 films debuting next week, okay? Well, actually, let's say 2, because the other 3 films, the theater count is 30, then 4, and then a 1. So we're going to roll those out. But here's the thing. Evil Dead goes up against not a new film, but a re-release of Jurassic Park in 3D.
Yeah.
And maybe this will... it'll be a week kind of off, but the weekend... Last weekend totals, you had Oz was still there with 21 million. Olympus Has Fallen, 30 million, and then this one they had no advertisement, but it's an animation film, and of course they kick ass.
Yeah.
The Croods and
yeah, The Croods. And then did G.I. Joe release last weekend?
No, it is set to for Easter weekend.
So this weekend.
Exactly.
Okay.
But I think that's going to be a one and done kind of thing. Like the first week is really good, then it falls
Yeah, it's
off.
gonna smash it. Yeah. It looked okay. I mean, it's The Rock.
But if I could do the early, and we could do this next week. I think that's the best. Do it next week. I want to try to at least set the over under. I think Evil Dead. I could set it over under. I go 19.5 million over under.
Really? That's it?
I would set it there because that's why I want to take till next week to do this. I should really do it for next week because it will come out then and really set it. I mean, I can tell you this much: theater count, they're projecting 3,000 plus theaters.
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna go see it Thursday night, midnight showing.
Well, it's going up against Jurassic Park in 3D, and the thing
Nobody gives a shit about that, honestly.
I disagree. Here's the other thing to play the factor, and this is why I love doing. I mean, I'm not even a gambler, but I like the essence of gambling.
Yeah.
I'm not much of a risk taker, okay, people. I am. If you see some of the women I've been with, the thing what we have to see here, it's going to really set this over under, and I really have to set it correctly. You got the gross, but Jurassic Park 3D is going to have a higher ticket price if it's in 3D.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's true.
And re-releases have been destroying, except for Top Gun, actually, I believe, didn't do too well. It was also in limited releases. It was kind of sporadic, but...
Like Halloween was this year.
And that's always the case, and it drives me nuts.
I know.
But I think Jurassic Park, it's set at a good release time because there's not a lot coming out right now.
No.
And you have a weekend where they're setting it up. And, well, April 5th, you have one film, and that film has already been seen. And I'm thinking of this, Cole. I brought it up many a times, I'll bring it up again. But now in a different way. When people are pirating movies, they are downloading them illegally. Does a re-release, does that kind of cut off that demographic of the... I would guess 13 to 25 would be the ones that are doing the most illegal downloading. I would just guess.
Yeah, I'd say 13 to 30. Ish.
See, demographic, they usually do it by like a 15-year gap at the most. They're not... I think if you say that younger demographic, I'm going more for the younger ones. And Jurassic Park 3D, I mean, there's not going to be a change. It's still going to be PG-13. So, and that's the other factor with something like this. God, if I could just, I don't think Vegas has lines like this, and they should. The other thing you got to factor in: Evil Dead's an R-rated movie,
and it's a hard R.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah.
It's a hard R, just like when I use the hard N at the end of a NBA game.
Yeah.
Or actually, that would be the hard R as well.
As you say, I'm more of a hard R guy.
And Evil Dead, I really, really, really want this to be successful.
I think it's gonna just be a smash hit.
I hope. See, there
That feeling.
but the difference is the smash hit. The difference is sometimes the smash hit when it was perceived well by the critics, but the audience didn't show up.
Yeah.
It never translates into, well, let's make a sequel.
Yeah.
But if it's the other way around, critics hate it, but fans want to see it.
Yeah.
Well, let's make a sequel.
Well, I mean, they already said they're making a sequel to it, and then now Army of Darkness 2 is being talked about.
Well, that's the other thing. What if you have this factor? Okay, Evil Dead comes out. It doesn't do no more than $30 million. It flops. It dies. Oh, they had the sequel. Does that sequel go direct to video, or they try marketing a certain way? I don't know. Do they cut it entirely? It certainly sort of hurt Halloween 2, now didn't it?
Yeah.
Halloween 2, ooh, it was okay at best. Oh, it floated. It floated there for the budget for what it got back. But man, it severed the ties of having the third one, and we all know what happened after that.
It sucks. I mean, because our good buddy Todd Farmer is supposed to be on the third one.
And I gotta get Todd on once again. And that's also what I'll bring up in the news too. There's a lot of hatred for Todd Farmer. Maybe I'm biased because I got to know the guy. He's a nice guy, and it's hard not to like this guy.
Yeah.
Who else will sing "Happy Birthday" to Michael J?
Yeah, it's true.
That's the kind of guy. So I think I had many opportunities where get the I am on back and forth. So sometimes I'm going to be biased. I'll be the first to admit that. Yeah, I'm biased.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think, hey, I liked what he did with My Bloody Valentine. I finally got it after so many years what he had to do with Jason X.
Yeah, after he explained it to me, I was like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, because they didn't want anything else. And at the time when you first watched it, like, why would you put him in space?
Yeah.
But then you're like, oh, okay, yeah, they didn't want anything else.
Yeah.
And that goes to the other part of the news with guests. Michael J., of course you all know, who was always booking, helped produce some segments on the show of Rabbit and Red since the start of it. Well, we know he's with Morbidly Made, but Mike and I talked. And I know what Rabbit and Red is missing. Nobody has to tell me. And I've been holding off, and it's April will be a full year I have gone personally without doing an interview. And there's not at least every so often, a couple days goes by, I get an IM or I get an email. When are you going to interview the next guest, Vince? I appreciate that. I hate interviewing. I'm always nervous. I always feel I'm going to mess everything up. But Mike will be coordinating the bookings, the guest, for Rabbit and Red. He'll be the special assignment one. When I say, for instance, I feel if I say this person's name, he will never come on, and I'll ruin everything. But I asked Mike. I said, hey, Mike, if you can, I want you to send an email to Robert Davi. I always wanted to interview Robert Davi. Robert Davi, probably best known for Die Hard. Well, the Goonies, really. Goonies was
it's a big one.
One of my favorite James Bond movies, and many people, it's one of their least favorites, was License to Kill. He was one of the top 5 villains, I feel, in any of the Bond flicks. But it's I always wanted to talk to Robert Davi, and I actually listened to his music, and the guy's a hell of a singer. But man, that's somebody that I want to come back, and if I'm going to start interviewing, I want to start with Robert Davi. That's on my wish list. So Mike is going to be my Make-A-Wish Foundation now. Ironic as it is that I have to ask the crippled
For a Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Exactly. It doesn't quite usually work out that way, but well, it's my world, and this is how things run. Pretty soon, I'm actually going to fully walk like Michael J. How my life is turning out. But that's who I asked for, Robert Davi, and I think I'm also going to ask next by popular demand, and it is playoff time coming up for the NBA. And of course, I could ask this person about, what was it like to play in this? But I don't want to. I think it's time to have on Tony Todd back again.
Absolutely.
I want to talk to Tony Todd, and I want to talk to him about, I want to go NBA. And no, not because he's black either, because last time we were talking NBA and NFL. And, plus Tony Todd has about 8 films he's acted in right now.
Yeah, he's got his hand in a lot of stuff.
I think he either, I know he's not hard up for money. He's somebody, I'm sure he's not the person who blows his money, but he either really loves acting or he doesn't know how to read.
Yeah.
I'll ask Tony that. Hey, Tony, do you really read these scripts? What do you turn down? I want to know what he's turning down. I think that's going to be easier.
Yeah.
You don't ask him, hey, what makes you accept the role? No, what makes you turn one down?
Yeah. That's a way.
Because he does so much.
He does, yeah. He does. He really does.
I mean, there's 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. There's 400 degrees of Tony Todd.
Yeah.
So he's, I think we need to have him back on. I know Mike can do it, and I never want to let anybody down. I think that's why I've always been having that. I was getting almost stage fright with interviews for a long time, and I thought, I'm going to do an interview, and I'm going to mess it up, and people are going to stop listening, and but since a lot of people are asking, and they say it in such a kind way.
Yeah.
And that's it's not like, hey, you get somebody on the show and listen. Like, you don't have to. I'm not. If ever when did I ever come on this? And even when back in the days of Harbin, when I would hear, you got 15,000 downloads. Like, did we really? Did that really? I don't think it did. But okay. You turned out you broke a server. It never went to my head. That's cool. And then I remember when, if like 6 people listen, I'm like, hey, that's cool. Like 6 people actually listen. That's awesome. They don't have to. Like, have you gone on the internet? There's so much cooler shit. And you're spending time with us. But that's who I like. And that is the news. And it's very nice to have. This is I think the nicer working relationship Mike and I have, where I can just go, hey, Mike, if you can, send an email. And he'll get back to me. Send him an email. So Mike and I talked about we might be doing a people wanted to see, many people wanted us to see a interview, just questions of Mike and I together, but they want it on film. They thought that would be funnier. That might happen.
That'd be great.
It'd be like a really bad, like 20 people want it shoot interview of Mike and I. And I think I should reveal some of the Cotan story, which is my favorite of Mike's since we got into this whole world of horror. The story, the famous one, it will be better to tell the day when Mike's here, because to this day oh God, I had a migraine with the Cotan, and we'll get more of that one day. But hey, Cole, before we wrap up, is there anything anybody should watch over the weekend?
Over the weekend?
Yeah, because I hope you watched Point Break, but I know you're not. Half the time you don't have access to the cable.
Yeah, I don't have cable, so I don't really. If it's not sports, I'm not watching it over the weekend. I'll watch it during the week when I can get to it, by downloading it or going to a website to watch it. But yeah, Sunday night is Walking Dead finale, I believe. So that's probably about it. Even though it's been terrible all season. But, you're in it this far. Might as well finish it.
You have to ride it out.
Yeah.
See, with a season, you have to ride it out. And sometimes with the series, you got to ride it out.
Yeah. What else are you going to do? So,
that's
about it. And of course, as much basketball as possible.
I know you love the basketball. I just one day I'll get back into it with college. But I mean and I'm really curious to see what Walking Dead is going to do next season. And you talk about, hey, if the season finale doesn't grab anybody, you got to do what what great Larry David once said on a funny episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm. They're all funny to me, but I don't walk out of a movie. I go down with a ship.
Yep.
And I'm the same way. I'm like that in relationships. I don't care how shitty he is. I'm going down with the ship. We're playing chicken here. You don't break up with me. I'm not. I'm going down with the ship. I don't care. And if you had time over the weekend, if I could pick something out, if you could see, I was going to say go to the video store, but if people, and here's the two-parter, if you can access a video store, pick up American Psycho if you haven't seen it, or buy it on DVD.
Yeah,
it's an older one.
It's a great film.
It's truly just phenomenal, and the book is really, really good, which I was lucky enough to read in high school. Accidentally, because somebody said, "Go to read it." I never heard of this.
Yeah.
And if you just want to watch, go on Netflix. Pretty soon, next week I have to start doing the Amazon. People members of that because they actually have a better lineup. But if you're on Netflix and you want to watch something, one of my favorites, and it's not horror. I want people to watch Sudden Death with Jean-Claude Van Damme. That is such a perfect, just dumb movie. It's a great bad action film.
I don't know if I've ever seen it. I try to stay away from a lot of the action films. I've watched a lot of what the fuck's his name?
Steven Seagal?
Yeah, Steven Seagal films, a lot of Chuck Norris films. I've seen a few like Bruce Lee films, but I'm just not into it. It's just way too cheesy for me.
Sudden Death though, it's really good. Look, if you like good cheesy movies. So if not that, then of course I always recommend Roadhouse, which I love. Roadhouse.
Oh yeah, Roadhouse is great.
I mean, come on. And again, I had to use it in the last weekend roundup of, I used to fuck guys like you in prison.
Yeah.
Which, come on, it's such a homoerotic film. I mean, you got Patrick Swayze doing Tai Chi. It's just, but it's a good bad movie. They don't make, if Roadhouse was made today, people would be offended. Because that's the society we live in, where it's offensive. I don't like what they're doing. They hit people.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you can watch that. But if not, Sudden Death. If you just want to forget your problems, watch Jean-Claude Van Damme. Take down some terrorists. Game 7 of the NHL Stanley Cup's taking place.
Yeah.
You gotta watch it. And it's Pittsburgh against the Blackhawks in the Game 7. So, there you go. That's what you gotta watch for. We will be back here next week. That we will. Hopefully Rich will as well.
Yeah. Thanks for bailing on us, Rich.
Yeah, I know he hasn't been too happy with me, but like I said, and I am revamping it up for the weekly video series, so stay tuned for that. It will be back up. But for Cole, I'm Vince. Remember, vote on the Horror Remake 64 Madness. The winner will be determined by you. All your votes will count. And for Richard Seymour Styles, take care, everyone. Remember, check out devilseyes.com, morbidlymade.com, which will happen soon. They need to have that site.
Yeah.
And because I know Mike will be having, from what he's telling me, a couple more big-time guests coming on the Morbidly Made. And hopefully back on Rabbit and Red. We will see. But for Cole, I'm Vince. Have a great weekend.